Hello and welcome to a new live stream, this time from UB, where we're gonna get a tour from Dragon. So we're quickly just gonna do a few more things, and then
Okay, thank you. Cheers, Jam.
he's gonna take us on a tour.
Doesn't actually have that option for me.
It's gonna be more Dragon telling things than me actually doing stuff, so we're just gonna take it
I
along.
need moderator. Okay. Jam might be able to do it, so...
Yep. So do I invite people who are in-game with us to be able to speak?
Yeah, so anyone who's in-game is welcome to be on the stage.
Yep, no pressure for anyone to accept being on the stage.
You don't have to, obviously, but if you want to talk, then yeah, that's cool. People are live. This is actually something we'll check in a second, actually, about people who are live and everything else. You're perfectly welcome to broadcast live, but it is worth just going over rules. Just making sure we are all comfortable and happy where we need to be.
Invited to speak.
Yay!
Oh, no, don't let him speak.
Oh, I forgot to invite
You have to speak.
We forgot
I have to
Freddy.
speak?
Oops.
Yeah. About what? About life.
Oh, we probably should mute in-game if we're speaking in Discord.
I'm trying to remember how to get to voice mod. It's been so long.
You press
V.
V, that's it.
V is such a nice letter.
It is.
Okay.
It's almost as good
Ooh,
as C.
shines.
V right back.
I found a leg nut.
Intriguing.
found
I
a
seem
what?
to be broadcasting at 140p and 60 frames per second. That's not too bad. You're going to be listening, Flezzy? No worries. No worries at all. I can see the chat. There we are. We seem to have the things in the side there. So it's all right. We'll just get everyone in here, and then we will do our safety speech.
Safety speech.
You gotta make sure that all of your liabilities are covered.
Oh, absolutely. And we have a law firm on this server that will help deal with that, so that's not a problem. But it does mean that we have to do all the legal elements. No, it's all good. No, it's just straightforward stuff.
So you have to sign a waiver then.
Does anyone have their tour buddy?
Okay, so basically this is just set up for us, so it might take a little while before we're actually gonna go. I've now muted myself in the Discord because we are with a lot of people, but eventually it will only be a Dragon that will be showing off what he actually changed and it. Hi Edpa, welcome to the stream. How are you today?
Okay.
The game does keep kicking me out of the server for some reason.
Oh no.
So we already did an hour of
I think my internet's
troubleshooting. My voice mod is not working. I can't get it to work, but since it's only for one time, just to show what actually changed outside of the crossover, I still wanted to show that off and, well, show everything here.
Wait a minute, this banner looks like a sheep.
Nivers, you're live right now, aren't you?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Something we'll cover very, very shortly. Just everyone, please moderate your language for a second until we get to understand everyone's actual settings.
I speak English.
I just put that in position. You know what I mean.
Yeah, so I keep muting myself so I can actually talk with you guys and not being in their way. So I need to switch back and forward, which is fine. But yeah, we have some awesome guests here. We have people from Channel 64, of course. We have me and Dano from the Igniters. We also have some other content creators, but we also have some super fans here.
first thing I need to know, who is recording, who is going live at the moment? Neat Freeze, I know you're live. Is anyone else live?
I'm the only one live.
I'm recording.
I'm
You're
recording.
I'm
Okay.
recording later, but not during the tour. I just kind of want to, like
That-
I've mentioned in the Discord.
That's
I'm
perfectly fine.
just
There
loading
is
something
no
out.
There is no requirement for people to record, go live, or anything else. We just need to be aware of anyone who it is. So, Neat Freeze, first of all, quickly, as you are live, is probably the most important one because people can edit around stuff when you record. Is there any particular rules for your channel?
Yeah, I am family friendly, but adult jokes, as long as they're family friendly, are fine.
So that's the thing for everyone to please bear in mind while we're on the call
Yep.
here. Let's please be respectful of anyone who is streaming and content creators. Obviously, different people have different levels by which they are happy to do their content creation. Some people are in various different states where they're like happy for it to be behind the scenes, but not actually out on the channels. Some people are happy for it to be out on channels, and some people just rather not. But if we are in a live state, for any of us that are live,
Is this better?
especially as we are also here in the stage zone as well, and as UB itself
welcome,
keeps itself as
Sandrian.
family friendly, at least in its front performance.
Greetings, here
Some
to
of us
watch
aren't, but
today.
we are
Dragon
happy
is
to
very
do a
quiet.
debate around it. Just please bear in mind those rules. I think the rule that needs
Is
to be
this
for
better?
their live channel is perfectly fine for everyone else as well here. Has anyone got any issues with that at all? A second.
Nope.
Just for that, bearing in mind, let's just be considerate of everyone else. So that's the important bit. So that's the first bit. That's the safety. Really, the safety talk was just to make sure that we make sure.
Yeah,
we keep
this
on
is
that
way
silence.
better. Okay.
I am going to be running this first tour going forward for this evening, only because that's the day it landed on. It was the best day for me to be able to actually do it. It's not any particular reason why I'm the first one here, because it could have been any of them. But actually, as I realized, it could possibly be also a very good introduction actually to Unorthoblocks, mainly because not only did I build a small number of builds and small builds, it does actually connect to an awful lot of stuff as well. So while this tour
Welcome
is
to the
actually
stream,
mainly
Jay.
directed at the stuff that I've done this season, and it will be more focused around that, there will be opportunity as we're going around. We'll probably end up connecting with a lot of other stuff, which is a good introduction in many senses, without actually getting so overwhelmed by like everything everyone's done, because everyone's done an awful large amount of stuff on here. Not an awful stuff. They've done an awfully large amount of stuff on here, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, the guys from this season, not just with myself of building, but actually I was looking around, and you do realize that actually people make the joke about me being a small builder in the fact that I don't, but actually there are people out here who have probably built
Hi,
to the same
Mr.
scale,
Shark.
if not more
Welcome
than
to
I
the
have.
stream.
And it's fantastic stuff. It is absolutely
How
awesome
are you
stuff.
doing
But this is
today?
because I have built all over the place a bit as well. It does mean that we do connect in with a bit with other people's stuff as well along the way. So it's a good introduction that we get to see this, and then later on in the week we're going to have some full tours. Where people are going to do a little bit more of a wider tour around the place. Plus, there's going to be opportunities during guest week to go out and explore and find things for yourself, or connect up with people and sort of go, oh, actually, yeah, I want to see that. But it is a privilege and an honor for me to actually now run the very first one, which is ironic as well, because I was also the one that introduced the whole season right back in the beginning. So when we first launched the season, or season 3, it was me who was doing the introduction and being the main speaker, which you may see in the very first videos of many people who first started on the season. And we were stood right where everyone is right now. This is the spawn spot for UB3. It did not look like this at all. It was a really good seed that was actually found. It's like basically we're in a crater. The seed started us in this crater that was a naturally spawned crater. And yeah, we all began here, literally stood just in front of where the 3 is, as we introduced ourselves. And this is where everything began on Unorthoblocks 3. As we go through this, obviously I'm the main speaker. People are welcome to talk and shout and say things and everything else. Just give us that consciousness that obviously main speaker here, you need to be able to hear what I'm saying. So yeah, it's all cool, but I don't mind people turning around and throwing things in. So carry on as we go around. But I will try and lead you around various bits and pieces and bits to see as we go through. Have we got any questions before we begin?
I have a question.
Go for it.
Are we going to see the Mothman on this tour?
Yeah, that's a question. I mean, some say the Mothman doesn't exist. Others say that he does, and we are not fully sure. So I can't actually answer that. The only person who can answer that is the Mothman himself. But I wouldn't put your hedge on it. to be honest.
Okay, for those joining later, we had a crossover from Igniter with Unorthoblocks half a year ago. We're today gonna check out what Dragon Extra built while we were away.
But no, Mothman is awesome, cool person,
Yeah.
but only crops up every now and then. If you see him, it's amazing. It's the same. We have a couple of people like that. Actually, funnily enough, there's a good little segue into that bit. We do have a couple of people. So Unorthoblocks
I have been to the
as
Witherspoons, so
as a server, most of us are content
I'm gonna
creators,
skip that,
we
but you
have
can
had some
see it with the
past
other
members
ones,
who
or look back my video.
have slid out the way of content creation, but we still remain good friends with. So they sort of become like little cryptids that sit in the background that sometimes pop back on the server every now and then with no actual compulsion to actually be here to create anything, and just pop in and take about a week, might pop in for a week or a night and everything else and do something and then disappear again for the rest of the season. And that's perfectly fine by us, because these are people that we love and adore. There's a few who are on that list now. Awesome people. Their lives have taken them elsewhere, but whenever we see them turn back up again, we're like, amazing. It's great to see you guys. And yeah, Mothman is one of those people. There are a couple of others, which we are always honored when they do turn back up again. And it's always like, yay, great to see you again. Okay. Any others? Any other questions before I actually begin?
I have a small thing.
Go for it.
I'm not very good at using elytras. Use when I get acquainted with floor.
That's fine. We're going to be
yeah.
walking for most of it, but we will use the elytras at some point. But when we get to the elytra point, we will make exception for that. And if you get really stuck, every single Unorthoblocks member today has OP commands, as it's called, which means we can just teleport you.
Okay. Cool.
So if you do ever get stuck, just pop it in the chat, put it out there, and we will teleport you over. So that's not a problem as well.
Cool.
We have almost thought of everything. We may not have thought of everything, but we almost have. That's on that side note. But if you do get stuck, shout out, and we will find a solution very quickly. Okay, cool. This tour's going to be split into 3 things. There's going to be, every hour it changes around a little bit, and we will take breaks between each one. The first bit is just going to be a build and general tour. We're going to go around and have a look at a few things and everything else. We'll talk about some lore, we'll talk about some of the builds, etc. Second part is a little bit more nerdy. We're going to go into a redstone tour. This is going behind the scenes of some of the builds that I've got redstone on. So like anyone who has followed anything I've done this season, you will know that there is mini games that I have built. Like, I'm not sure if the word mini game actually suffices for some of the stuff I've built at this point. But there is an awful lot of redstone in there. So if you're in that nerdy sphere, I will take you behind the scenes to show the redstone and how it works. And then we're going to follow it up with some game time as well. We're going to spend some time doing some games all around the server. It's all going to be absolutely, we'll have a bit of fun. We'll do a bit of Spawn's Edge, ODM, etc. But stuff like that. But yes, game within a game. Rogue's got it right there in the chat there. Absolutely perfect. Okay, cool. Right, so welcome to Spawn. As we said, this is where we all started off initially. And for myself, we want to go this way first. We're going to go up onto the ridge. So if everyone follows the lead over here, maybe I should put like a big arrow on my head or something, borrow one of Jampot's models. Which Jampot is... One of the things you'll notice on Unorthoblocks is that we have custom models, an awful lot of custom models, very big custom model database, which Jam is responsible for probably about half of it. But I think I'm probably the second largest contributor to the custom models
we
as
did
well.
The maths a few months ago, and you are the second highest.
And the second highest on there. Right, so we're going to bring ourselves over to here. So in the first week of Unorthoblocks, in fact, almost like in the first or second day, have you guys seen this cliff over here? This cliff that begins here and stretches all the way around on this side of the server. That wasn't here. That cliff has all been terraformed and built. And in the first week or two, I didn't say I upset people, but I built a wall out of cobblestone very, very rapidly using certain little technical tricks of using lava in a water bucket and a couple of cobblestone lines to basically rope off an area of spawn just for myself. Like literally everyone was exploring all of spawn, and I came over here and I built a massive wall. Now apparently the HOA didn't like that idea. Is Sunny still in? Is Sunny in chat at the moment? Sunny, who runs our HOA, she's not. Can't see her in chat at the moment. But yes, she came to us and was like, "That does not look pretty. You've got to sort that out."
It didn't.
Nope. It didn't. It was a big cobblestone mess, and it was deliberate. It was basically a very quick. Let's get a basic structure put up. But I knew that I wanted on the edge of spawn here something that was just going to be the scenic bit on the side of spawn itself. So Sonny came to us, was like, "Look, pretty it up," and in the second week, I then prettied it up, and that ended up with basically this area we're walking up here. So you got these big cliffs all stretching off to the side here that overlooks the whole of spawn. So most people are actually based down in spawn itself, and all around the ridge we got a variety of stuff there. But this area was where I came to basically do my starter base. Yes, this is, well, some of you guys were on Fever Dream with me earlier this year. You will know what I mean by starter base. So the whole of this cliff. Sorry, go on.
I just want to say, when he says 1 to 2 weeks with that cliff, it was the second day. The second day.
It did not go up. Yeah, it went up very, very, very rapidly. So yeah, I built the entirety of this cliff over here. We terraformed the whole thing to create this sort of edge on the side here. Now, actually, one of the things that helped us out, we've just walked past. It was one of the very first things I built after building the cliff itself, or the initial cobblestone thing. And if we come down over to here, this is what's called Boom Tree Overlook. This is the most tranquil place on the server. It is where people can come to de-stress and relax and have a peaceful time and deal with a rhythmic pattern that goes something like this. We find the continual rhythmic booms very peaceful. In other words, this is a cobblestone generator. I deliberately designed it not to look like it was a cobblestone generator, but it is actually a cobblestone generator. So we have a little overhang just above us that has a TNT duper. The cobblestone drops into the center of what looks like a tree here, but actually the bushes are waterlogged, so the explosion isn't actually going to damage the surrounding area, but there is lava in there next to those waterlogged bushes, or waterlogged leaf blocks, which enables cobblestone to be generated, and so it just causes a load of cobblestone to drop down. It then drops down into the pond that you see below you, which is actually just the collection system. You could probably just see the little gates at the end there just to hold the water back to enable part of the cobblestone collection system. And then it feeds it all around to these barrels here and chests here, which is actually just filling up as we are powering that on the cobblestone generator itself. So this was one of the very first things that I actually ended up building on the server, just to be able to farm cobblestone, which I could then put in furnaces and build basically that big cliff we were just talking about. Okay, but we need to actually get to my starter base, and my starter base is actually just up the cliff. So we head up this way. And I will point out, I haven't actually planned this tour, so I'm making this up as I go along. Talking about the things I built. So hopefully it's all making sense. So hopefully it all makes sense and it all flows together, but we will get there. If we head on up. And there's pathways were all built, and again, a lot of this was built, this whole terraformed area, within the first couple of weeks. So the first, yeah, as Teach said earlier, like in day 2, I built the cobblestone cliff, but then terraformed it out, and we come up to what is my starter base, what is aptly known as the dirt hut, which basically doesn't look like a dirt hut anymore. It did begin as a dirt hut that was purposely designed as a dirt hut. It was all built out of dirt initially, and then through each of my episodes, I slowly upgraded the dirt hut. But every time you see the beginning of my episode, this has changed ever so slightly. I put an extra material in, I've put something in and around the area. So what began as like a plain area up here and a dirt hut has become basically this area. So yeah, this was my starter hut itself, as we say, it's the dirt hut, but it was only ever meant to be beginning here. It was only meant to be sort of like my first place where I was
this is Unorthoblocks. This is a server where Igniter had a crossover with, and we're actually looking at what they have done since
this time
the crossover
like,
ended. So that's like 9 months ago, something like that.
Subscribe if you're enjoying all the stuff I'm doing here on the tour. Don't forget to go and look at my YouTube channel. I'll appreciate it immensely. Thank you. Sorry, little advertisement there.
Promo in our tour. Wow.
Of course, I gotta do that.
Subscribe.
Yeah, but it does. Does it actually say subscribe up
It
there?
says subscribe.
Excellent, excellent. I think I deliberately did that.
That's
There is a legend behind that. There is a story behind that, and it's because when I set up my template for all the episodes, I had this template that says like and subscribe. It puts it up on the screen, and it took me about 12 episodes before I realized it said subscribe rather than subscribe. So yes, we keep it up there. So don't forget to like and subscribe, whatever subscribe may mean. But if you also want to subscribe, I'd appreciate it. But yes, this was basically my very first starter home, but actually my main base, and what has actually been essentially my base of operations for the entirety of this season, is directly above us. And that is the Unorthoblocks balloon. So the Unorthoblocks balloon was built before we even had Elytra. So throughout the season, after about 6 weeks, so we didn't use Elytra for the first 6 weeks of the season. It was agreed amongst the members we wanted to have a bit of time just to be able to explore the world on foot without actually doing the whole run towards the end and getting everything done. And we built this thing. So we decided that we were not going to use Elytra for 6 weeks, and then we went to the end and did the Elytra later on. However, this was built way before we had Elytra, the Unorthoblocks balloon. So though after 6 weeks, my main method of actually getting into the balloon is via Elytra, for the first 6 weeks, that wasn't how we got into the balloon. And instead, it involved me getting a bow and arrow. And if you may look underneath here, there is a target block. And if I can hit it from here, can I do it first time? Did that hit? I think I was just off the side there. There we go. There it comes. We have an activatable water elevator that just drops itself all the way down here. And that's how I actually got on and off the balloon. So we can now take the route up, or you can just take the Elytra up. Things might be a little bit cozy on the balloon. It is not the biggest base in the world, but if we head on up, I think, Livy, you just above me. You might need to open.
Go. My people need me.
Yeah, you just need to open the trapdoor in there, and then we should be able to sail straight into the base. And we can all come on up. We give people a chance to get up here.
Ooh.
It's never been so tempting to close a trapdoor.
Oh, it's even worse. Right, so I used to turn around and pull this one on people who were coming up in the first couple of weeks. It's not just the trapdoor, but the button straight above it also deactivates that water elevator. So you have people coming up the water elevator, and you just deactivate it on them just as they're getting towards the top and stop them coming up. Are we all on board? Excellent, no problems. So we can deactivate that water elevator for a second, and it will just drop itself down. So welcome aboard what has been essentially, right, so I had built a lot of big things in this season, but this is actually been my main base of operations for the entirety of the season. And that is because it has above it, there's a balloon straight above us, which has a multi-farm on board. So one of the things that I specialize in is I love building multi-farms. This is farms that is a multiple setup that all flows into one system, so it all connects together. Going to be really awesome with Autocrafters next season. I got some plans that, well, you'll just have to wait and see on that one. But it all flows down straight off the balloon. We'll have a look at that in a minute. And it comes down into the middle of the balloon and then flows into a water stream that flows into the storage area here. Now, it's not a very big storage area, but it has sufficed for the entire season because I kept a lot of stuff in shulker boxes. I took a bit of a leaf out of Sunny's builds from Season 2. So in Season 2, I used to have a big storage area on my base and do the whole thing with a big storage area. And then Sunny had this thing where it was like, I'm just going to store most of my stuff in shulker boxes inside of the things. And it's like, well, actually, that kind of works. So that's what this area is. And it sort of does collect stuff. And every now and then I pop it into shulker boxes. But it actually keeps it nice and compact, keeps everything easy to find without actually having to run around too far. And because we are in the spawn chunks here, and this is one of the issues you have with obviously building things like farms and stuff in spawn chunks, there's a couple of rules you should really do on multiplayer servers if you do that. One is that you should always make sure that the farms can be switched off, which mine can. And also that you should have an overflow safety function. So there is a lava stream that is just behind here that anything that basically, if any of these overflow, it goes straight into the lava and gets immediately destroyed. So you don't end up with hundreds of entities just sitting there waiting to be destroyed off. And surprisingly, this place is pretty efficient. It has basically supplied the server for the whole season in iron on its own. It produces a large quantity of iron, but it also does gunpowder and everything else like that. And we got people like Rogue, for example, who also has done some very big mega farms. Like his Rogue is gunpowder farms are more efficient than the one that's on here. But it has certainly given me plenty of gunpowder to keep me going all the way through the season as well. We do sugarcane in here. We've got melons and everything as well. But this is the main part here. I wanted to keep it nice and tidy down here. We have a toilet up here. It doesn't connect to the sewers, which we will look at in a bit. But mainly because we're up on a balloon. So it's a bit difficult to connect a balloon's toilet up to the sewers. But as we come through to here, we do have a nether portal tucked up on the balloon as well, which is also another way you can get up here. We won't go in there just yet, but it is tucked away in a cupboard just behind the door here. And then we have my main bedroom is just behind here, which leads through to a little lounge area. And if you're interested in the behind the scenes of the redstone, then we can actually come in here, and I can actually still access from various little doors around here into the actual redstone areas. If I need to check on the filtering and stuff as well, that's possible. But I think of everything. We also have a bathroom over here and storage all tucked around. And one of the things I like about this balloon is the fact that we have all these little hidey holes where there's like storage can be tucked when I've been planning stuff. So we got like barrels sort of lying around here that seem a part of the build, but they're also part of the storage as well when I've needed it. And then we have the back room over here. We got a map of the nearby areas of spawn. So you can actually see the surrounding areas, and the big building in the middle there we will cover very, very shortly because that is part of my build. But we also have access to outside balconies as well, all the way around here, so we can come out and walk around the edge of the balloon. There's a couple of doors that you'll find around here that do that. And if we go to the front of the balloon, there is also a hatch that will take you down to, there's a balcony right, and I barely used it. I have barely used it, but there is a hatchway that brings you down to the balcony underneath here, and you can see that you got access as well to be able to look down here. I barely needed it in this season, but I wanted to have something that was just like tucked underneath here, and we can look out over into spawn itself. Okay, so that's the inside and the bottom of the balloon, but there is an upstairs to the balloon as well. So the stairwell is over by where I am. And if we go up into the stairwell, and then spend a lot of time on top of here as well, we have access to a kitchen in there. So there is a kitchen, and it sort of looks back over into the actual main part of the actual base itself. And again, it's one of the things I like about it is like there's all these little bits that you got different accesses to. It's technically quite a small area, which for me as well is also quite a rarity. But actually, it was one of the challenges was actually building so much into such a small area that actually connects together. And then we go up onto the top, and we have like little gardens, and we have where the balloon is above us. And now if you hang around here long enough, you'll see stuff dropping into the center of the gondola here, where we have like the pit with flame coming up, or rather the smoke coming up, which is keeping the hot air balloon aloft. And that's actually where the farms drop into. That's because the farms are directly above us. I won't take us up there straight away because that'll be part of the redstone tour. But basically, all of the multi-farms are built into the balloon above us, and then they all exit out. They drop out the bottom of the balloon and straight into there that leads it off to the storage systems. Also, if you fall in there, you might have to fly out with your elytra. So, Diamond. Otherwise, you may end up dead. No, can someone teleport Diamond? There we are. Excellent. Well done.
You didn't have a bad poor death.
That was close. It was close. Maybe we should take bets on who will be the first. But no, it was, that was the balloon itself. And this is to say, it has been basically mainstay. Everything else you see built that I have built this season, a lot of it has come from the resources that has been from this single one balloon. It has done an awful lot for me this season, and it's been basically my actual home itself. Okay, so let's move on from the balloon. Before we move over to the big grey building over there, let's just go over to the right. We're going to go over the top of, there's like a little pink maze, which Jam built, which is the Unorthoblocks maze.
Yeah.
There's a tower in the distance. If you want to go down the lift, you are welcome to go down the lift and then just walk around it. Or if you want to fly over, we can just glide from here, basically. But there is a tower literally straight ahead with a goose with breathing flame outside of it.
Common goose thing on Unorthoblocks.
That's what the fire was.
It was a fire-breathing goose.
It's a fire-breathing goose, as it would be.
Had a spicy meal.
We just give people a chance to catch up and get over here.
Sunny asks, are we racing?
We are not racing.
Okay.
We're not doing an Orpha Tower at the
She
moment.
was about to probably drop her coffee and run.
No, we are just. I just wanted to talk about them for a
That's
second.
for later, Sonny.
Yeah. So this is an Orpha Tower 2 that we are stood in front of. There are on this season 3 Unorthoblocks Tower variants. But the Unorthoblocks Towers was something that I started in season 2. Essentially, the idea was just like this little bit of a collaborative, chaotic build of towers that is also something that is a competition to basically see who can get to the top of the tower in the quickest time. And it becomes challenging because there are things like parkour in there, there are puzzles to get past, etc. Absolutely fabulous things. I mean, they really took off. So the first one we built in season 2, I built it towards the end of season 2. We had loads of people involved. It was great fun. It was a great build. And then I wanted to do in season 3 a second version of the tower, but I wanted to do it very early so that we were quite limited in the resources that we had available to us just to see how it would turn out. And this was the result. So this is on Unorthoblocks Tower 2, and you'll probably end up on some of these Unorthoblocks Towers during the whole guest week. There's some races going on, but this was the second one. So this was the very first Unorthoblocks Tower built in this season, and it was all sort of connected up and everything else like that. There are 2 other Unorthoblocks Tower style variants though. We may get time to have a look at them. There's one just behind this one, which is known as the Rainbow Tower, which was an idea that Bex came up based on the Unorthoblocks Tower idea, but instead of the normal variants, it would actually have like colored layers all the way up. So it was built like a rainbow going all the way up. Turned out really cool, though it did take us the entire season to build it, which was kind of against the idea of the way until the Unorthoblocks Tower design idea, which was that it was meant to be a quick build. That one didn't turn out that way. And then there is also, and we'll find this along the way, we've got Neat Freeze here as well, who will know very well about this one. We have the IgnitorBlock Tower, which was actually the crossover version of an Unorthoblocks Tower between the Ignitors and Unorthoblocks, where we spent 1 week building it on the Igniter server and then a week building it here. And we replicated both towers on both their things. So it's in the Igniter Season 2. And here on Unorthoblocks Season 3, you'll find the IgnitorBlock Tower as well, which is over by the pig racing area. We'll get to see that at some point.
Yes.
But it absolutely challenging. That's probably the most challenging Unorthoblocks Tower style thing that ever exists. Is that IgnitorBlock Tower? The Ignitors and the Unorthoblocks just went into full competition to see who could make a more complicated layer, essentially. And it is probably the most challenging of all the Unorthoblocks Towers. Okay, so that's I wanted to cover that bit, the Unorthoblocks Towers, just because it was a part of that. And then if we come back the other way, so we go past our dirt hut, so we'll jump across in front of this area here, with this this maze here, and the lakes. If you can move on over, and we're going to come to my first small build of the season.
What about the plane, Draken?
The planes we'll cover in a bit.
Plane.
Well, that came about. Oh, yes, you're a good point, actually. Yeah, the dead planes. So there should be, just as we're coming back over, you can see back here. Thank you, Iandus. I forgot all about that. This plane down here. There is a plane here that is crashed into the side of the cliff. This actually is how I came to Season 3. So there was a trailer for Season 3 that was done at the end of Season 2. And it was basically how the Unorthoblocks came over from Season 2. And essentially, that trailer shows that what we had was Spawn Lake in the last season, was under attack by a large amount of mobs, and we all had to escape. And in that, you see me flying around these planes because I was in charge of something called Spire, which is basically the equivalent of basically Shield for the Unorthoblocks, if any of you guys know Marvel. And this was one of my fighter jets, and this is what I was flying around in the trailer, and I escaped it through the portal. And the idea is that essentially, as I came through the portal, I crashed it into the cliff. I couldn't pull up in time, and so this is where it ended up. So this is the jet that I was flying around in that trailer. It has ended up here, crashed into the side here. We won't talk about actually anyone who has seen all the post credits from me actually as to who's responsible for those mobs. That is covered in there at some point. Not me, honest. Anyway, right. So we'll move on from that one. It was nothing to do with my grand plan to deal with my future self. Funnily enough, you talk about that with plane license. Last year, I did get to fly an A340 simulator, A320 simulator. A natural,
That's
the
all
proper
facts.
ones, and I did not crash. I actually landed quite safely twice, and took off. I took off from Cardiff Airport, landed in Birmingham, and then was able to land in the old Hong Kong airport. So as we come around here,
Oh my god,
so
the
there's,
bells!
Oh,
if you
we
can hear the bells,
bongs without the
the
jump.
bongs are part of the cathedral build. So we're walking past here. I'll come back to the other builds in here in a minute, but we have what is essentially my first big build of the season. This is the cathedral. Now, there is really only one reason why I built this cathedral, and it's because I actually built it before. But I didn't build it with the same level of knowledge of how I build in Minecraft that I did years later. It's something I started building a long time ago. Well, let's say about, not a long time ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, before I
Okay,
joined
peeps. So
Unorthoblocks on the
my
server that I was on
voice
previously
mod
to
is
this.
broken. If
I never finished it either.
it doesn't recognize the mod.
But then since then, I have learned new
So
techniques. I love the
we
design
can't
of
hear
it,
the
and I thought,
bells.
right,
Just
I actually
pretend
want
that
to
they're
finish
there.
this build, so I'm going to recreate it here on Minecraft. I'm going to use the new building techniques and ideas that I've learned since then to actually incorporate that into there, and I am going to finish it this time. And so I did. So this is the cathedral. So we are now stood on top of that cliff face that we were showing you earlier. And I built a flat area for this. And this, again, was built within, like, the first month and a half, I think it was. Because I think it was halfway through building this is when we got our elytra. So the first part of this cathedral, a lot of this cathedral was built without elytra as well. This is something to bear in mind. And I wasn't using Lightmatica. I was building it from reference. So a lot of this was built in that style when I was building the initial parts. And then I went on to actually add all the bits in that I wanted to do with it as well. So this is the cathedral, and it is literally, there is no real story to this other than the fact that essentially I wanted to build it. You know, I love the design of what I'd originally done, and then I decided I was going to carry it on. There was a little bit of a storyline with me wanting to retire and everything else, and I wanted basically a scenic area to retire into. So a cathedral's quite scenic. But if we go inside, you're all welcome in. Come on through. And we can see that compared to the original version of the cathedral, which I never got to do the interior, I have now actually finished the interior in here. And you can probably hear the bongs if you've got your voice mod on and with the music discs up. I'm not hearing them because I've turned it down. And bear in mind that the bongs I've only put in the last week because otherwise it would have really annoyed everyone throughout the whole season to hear it going off every now and then. But yeah, that's a custom music disc that's just designed just to give that little extra ambience around here as well. But you'll notice that we also got these carpets here. So there is coral in these carpets. So that has to be, in order for them to keep
Hey
their colour, we
guys,
have
welcome to
run
the
water
stream.
underneath
I'm
here
getting a
just to
tour
make sure that they keep their
by
coloration and
Draken on
don't just completely
Unorthoblocks. This is
die
the
out.
server which we did
You
the
can
crossover
get up
with.
to the balconies by foot.
This is like more catch up to see what it was,
what is called a
what they
we
have
an
done
organ
after the
up there as
crossover.
well, which keeps functioning. We also have down here various different elements worth exploring. I'm not going to go into the full details of every single element of it, though I did have to learn an awful lot about all the naming of how a cathedral is actually put together. So I can tell you all about naves and transepts and everything else because it's all architectural terms to do with cathedrals as I was studying and learning how to build this. But it was, for me, it was very fascinating on building a Gothic cathedral. And I think I kind of captured the idea of Gothic cathedrals because Gothic cathedrals are designed to have this concept of basically reaching upwards. And though this, you may probably find there are taller builds and everything else like that, it's also actually the way the architecture works together to make it feel like it's taller than it actually is, even though it's already pretty tall. So we have the dome right above us, and it gives you that sort of central focus that pulls you into the center here as well. So that was the idea anyway. There are bees in the dome. How did bees get in the dome? That wasn't there when I saw them before, but that's interesting.
You probably saw these beehives over here and thought it'd make a good home.
May well be, actually. Yeah, that's a good possibility. When I did this, there weren't bees, but now there are. Okay, so there are now bees in the dome. This is the randomness of Unorthoblocks. These things happen, and you just go, okay, that's a thing now. There is a vestry down here, but there's also something that accesses what's called the catacombs, which we'll go to in a minute, very shortly. But it's one of the entrances to the catacombs comes from inside the cathedral, and it's over on this side. Before we go down there, though, I'll finish showing off the upstairs and the exterior around here, and then we will go back and do the catacombs because the catacombs is its whole thing. So if we come out here, we have, just on this side, we have a graveyard. we have a few things buried in the graveyard. And actually, this existed for a long time on the server until the last sort of few weeks. Has not actually done out. But a few people did come over and start putting things in here. In fact, actually, maybe Jam wants to explain why some of these things are here, because I think it was actually to do with him.
I can't even explain this. I don't think I remember.
So, yeah, I think you were responsible for some of this stuff here. I think did you put a Iron Golem over here? Yeah. So
Yeah, it was a
the
game show that Lily hosted, and then she gave us an Iron Golem in the middle of it, and we loved him. And then she killed him with a wither in the end. So I buried him.
Yeah, I still love the jitter.
Rip Gary.
So Gary is buried here
He was a great. He tried to hit that wither, man, and he just couldn't tank it. You know.
Yep. Oh yeah, I can see the bees around here now. The cathedrals attract a load of bees. I was not expecting that.
They like the bongs.
But this pathway here, it does lead all the way down to the back end of the actual crater as well, which goes down towards something called Spawn's Edge, which we will see soon. And also towards like people like AJ's base and everything else. And it's a very scenic route that direction. Actually, behind the cathedral, there is a lot of really scenic builds. Like AJ's down there, you got the Zen Garden, you got Ioundus's Bridge, we've got Shotguns, Oriental Town as well. And they're all built over that back way, so it actually becomes really scenic, having that and the cathedral as a bit of a backdrop as well, with the cliff faces and everything else. So it's really like it in that sense. We come around to this side, we come to the Southern Drake, which is basically Welsh for Star Dragon. And this is my ship that I used to escape Unorthoblocks, because I was here wanting to retire, and then an evil AI turned up, and that evil AI was basically trying to destroy the Unorthoblocks and everything else, and I thought I needed to get away from here because I was retiring and I didn't want any part of that sort of nonsense. So I jumped in this ship that was built of parts that were taken from the crash fighter ship you saw a short while ago, and this is what I used to leave Unorthoblocks to go into basically outer space, or we will say the end. We'll get to see that bit, but this is where the landing pad was for that ship itself. If we come down this way, this pathway here will lead you back down to, again, the river that goes around the outside, and it will take you down to the pig racing track as well, if you follow it all the way around. But there is a courthouse here. Now, we never used... Don't look inside the courthouse. It's not... The interior wasn't decorated. But the courthouse was going to be an idea that we were going to use for a while. And I mean, this is the second season where I built a solicitors and never properly used it. And there may be good reason for that, that we don't use it ever again. But yeah, I built a solicitors, and we were going to use this as a courthouse, but we never actually got around to using it. I'm using that skit. And then you can come up and you can see there's some... This is the way out of Spawn, where we have Ioundus's fantastic bridge, like a diagonal built bridge. Do you want to talk about it, Ioundus, for a second, as you're in here for a second? Or not? Oh, maybe we've lost Ioundus for a second. It's a bridge. It's Ioundus's bridge. She wanted to build a bridge this season. She wanted to live under a bridge, so she built a bridge. And we had to have a little bit of a negotiation right back early on, because she wanted to build it off the corner here, and I wanted to build a cathedral over here. But this is an example of how you sort of cooperate on a server, and you sort of go, right, I want to do this and this, and you work out how you're going to fit those together. And actually, I think it works really nicely having the two sort of connected together. It creates this sort of scenic route coming through here. Okay, let's go underground. If we all go back into the cathedral a second. This season, there's been a lot of underground activity. So you've seen already, we've got towers, we've got cathedrals. If you go around, you'll see there's great big things like the Zen Garden and everything else that exists on the server. And it seems like we just built everything stretching up to the sky, but we also stretched downwards as well, quite considerably. So you had the mall, for example, which is over underneath the post office under Amelia's area, where we built a lot of the shops. You got Jam here, who was responsible for building the sewer network, which stretches under a lot of Spawn and has a lot of stuff going under there as well. But there was, right at the beginning, one underground location that was built pretty early on, and that was the Catacombs, which is beneath this cathedral here. The Catacombs plays host to a number of shops, mini games, and variety of other stuff, including two of the bad guys on the server. one of which was Plasmas, and one of which was that evil AI that chased me off. But as we come, first of all, into the catacomb area here, you'll see on the left here, there is a cloud in a crypt. This was essentially a prank given to me during Prank or Present by Omelette. He put it actually in the main cathedral. When I came to actually finish the cathedral, I decided I didn't want a rain cloud right above my altar. So I relocated it down here to the catacombs. So at least we managed to preserve the cloud that Omelette gave me. But it's here. This is where it is. I don't think I even told Omelette that this is where I relocated it to. So Omelette may be finding this out for the first time as well now. But yeah, that's where your cloud went to. It ended up down here.
Yeah, I'm finding that out for the first time.
So that's where your cloud ended up. I relocated. So there it is. Next archway along. Anyone seen Plasma's Law? Anyone seen Plasma's videos? Anyone
Yes.
followers of that?
Me,
Yep.
me.
Yep.
Me too.
If we come down this one, see if you recognize what's in here.
Oh, the bongs.
Welcome to the hearts.
It's for lung, like the heart.
It is Plasma's heart. This is the evil AI, or, well, maybe evil AI, we don't know, that keeps directing a lot of his Plasma variants. It is, when it relocated to Unorthoblocks, because it didn't originate on Unorthoblocks, this is where it ended up. Down in the catacombs. And it's only recently that you can even access it. We've only opened it up for Guest Week. Most people don't know where that is normally. Then, if we head back out from the heart, and we come down. Where is everyone? Everyone following? Yep, cool. We have down the stairwell something that was built during the Igniter block crossover. So one of the Igniters who came on here, GGJ, decided to build a parkour location. And that is under here. Now, actually, this is built between the original spawn edge of the cliff and actually the false cliff that I built in front. I have since decorated up the cavern as well to make it actually look like in a cavern, because for a long while, you could just come in here and you'd look up and you would see basically the underside of the cathedral. And the underside of where the heart, like we just seen there for a second. But this is where GGJ had built his underground parkour course, and I have recently enclosed it as well. So that's one of the mini games on the server, and that was one that was built during a crossover. Which, in fairness, built within a week is pretty good going. But if we come down to the next level, we come to what is known as the Coffee Bean Alliance Tomb. Now, the Coffee Bean Alliance. Now, you may have heard on the server, there is an alliance that started very, very, very early on. Rogue, you're the Grand Lead. Do you want to tell us about that? Just to drop you on the spot.
about the Cocoa Bean Alliance?
Yes, about the Cocoa Bean Alliance.
So the Cocoa Bean Alliance was a loose amalgamation of people with no better choices for friends, I think. No. So I think it was started by Jay and Teach day one, and then I got roped in because I had food and they were hungry. And then we did some adventuring the first day, and our membership kind of grew as the season went on. We had a lot of meetings, we accomplished very little, and we died a lot anytime we were around each other. So that pretty much sums it up, I think.
I think that was a perfect description. Very, very apt. But early on, I was quite happy to take the mick out of them, and we ended up with a tomb for the Coffee Bean Alliance. And if you look at the names of the members in the Coffee Bean Alliance, you'll see you have K.A. Bagel, the sensible one, apparently. We have Bertie, who is listed as being the correct way up. We have Renegade Chest, the decisive leader. We have Mustached Lecturer, who hated large SMPs. And we also have RA, the American, which are obviously all puns on our actual own members. They're part of the Coffee Bean Alliance and their names there. It was me having a little pokey fun at them as well. Apparently, Omelette also died and ended up buried here, even though Omelette is with us at the moment. So some form of resurrection must have occurred at some point. And there is a corridor over here that we will come back to in a moment, because that is one of the mini games. But if we head down this way, over to the right, you will see... Yeah.
Sorry, the omelette is buried. That's buried. There's the one you killed.
Oh, the one I killed. Okay, fair enough then.
Yeah. Murderer.
How many have I killed?
There's more than
Only
one?
the one. The rest have stayed away.
Oh, we got a few more seasons yet. That's okay. So over to the right here, we have two of the stores. Up in the far edge there, you can see like or the dripstone dropping down. That's Gertie's dirt store. That's been very handy for anyone who's wanted mud or dirt all season. She has been farming like mad for that stuff, and it was available there. Next door to that is Suspicious Sand and Concrete, which is basically sand and concrete that's come from our sand duper this season, which we'll get to see in more detail later on. Was a store that I ran. And then there's a little tunnel entrance, and that leads through to an illegal, I can say it properly, an illegal cocoa bean farm, which is where someone who was not a part of the Cocoa Bean Alliance was growing cocoa beans. Set up to wind them up, and they completely ignored it. So, yeah. They were like, no, we're not worried about that. Anyone can grow them. And it was like, oh, okay then. So that was completely pointless, but it was all fun. But over here, we then have Rogue's Time and Space Shop. Anyone's needed Shulks, a Skulk, not Shulk. They could come down here and grab it. Rogue was farming it on a mass scale. And then if we come back this way, we get to the very first minigame that was ever built on the server, as well as our spider farm, our basically first easy XP farm. And
What's your favorite shop?
My favorite shop?
No, I'm looking at Amelia.
Maybe not the one that breaks time. It looks great, Rogue.
Yeah, we had to have long discussions about the Skulk shop before it went in.
Right. This spot existed beneath spawn itself, and it was a stroke of luck. So essentially, in this region, there are a lot of spider spawners. And when I say a lot, we had one used for a minigame, 3 used for a farm, a normal spider spawner for a second farm, and 1 spider spawner left over that's just in here that I didn't have anything else to do with, so I just turned it into decoration. So there's an enchanting room over here with a spider spawner in it that just doesn't work because I turned around and lit it up and made it into decoration. We have the first mini game on the server, which is this place. This is the Arachnodome. The Arachnodome is a mini game. It is not an easy mini game. In fact, most people haven't been able to score more than 1 or 2 points in the Arachnodome. Essentially, what happens is when someone goes into the Arachnodome, the lava drops, everything gets dark in there, and the spider spawners start spawning cave spiders. And you have to go in there with basically a shield, a sword, and a bottle of milk, a bucket of milk, and see how long you can survive. And the amount of points you get is the amount of spider eyes you get to drop. And yes, most people have only managed to make 1 or 2 points in there. It gets a little bit more interesting when you do team play, especially as people end up accidentally hitting each other when they do team play in here. But yes, this was the first mini game I built on the server itself, which is the Arachnodome. So this was the actual spectator area. The actual entrance to the Arachnodome for the competitors was just down in this area. But we also had one of our first XP farms on here. There was a Skelly farm as well, which was also useful for XP, but a lot of people began using this early on because this is a triple cave spawner, cave spider spawner, and if you stand on this exact platform here, it will activate all 3 cave spider spawners at the same time and feed them through to here. So it was really good for XP early on until we built the Ender. And then down at this level, we also have one more cave spawn, a spider spawner. And this is a normal spider spawner, which also helped serve the server for a long time for glow ink. Because it turned out it wasn't too bad in providing glow ink as well as the normal spiders. So the amount of people who were raiding that constantly. Now there is a secret down here as well, if I can remember where it is, and it's over here.
Oh, a secret, yeah.
There is a secret in here as well. There's a lever up on the shelf over here, which if I pull it, opens up a space down here. And that leads down there. You don't. You can go down if you want to have a look at it.
It's not really a secret anymore now.
Yeah, it's not really a secret anymore. But it leads to basically my amethyst farm and another skeleton farm that I was using for bone meal in the early parts of the season. It's just an expansion of the catacombs. The fun bit is that anyone who goes down there can actually be locked into there by just pulling the lever at the top here.
Guest week was all a secret plan to trap you here.
To trap you all in there, yep.
I don't want to be locked in the basement again.
Great.
We lose more members that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. Okay, so that's the Arachnodome. So that was my first mini game on the server. Now, I built a couple more mini games, which we will see later on. But then I did Igniters. We did the Igniter crossover. And
thank you.
yes, which Nefreeze is here from the Igniters with us at the moment. We did a crossover with another SMP, and I got to see things like the Warden Maze and some of the things that VidMC had done, and the back rooms and everything else, and that inspired me with my own mini games. And the first one of those that I built, I took that idea, I took the sort of, not the concept of it, but it was the inspiration from it, so to speak, on to sort of do something that I'd wanted to do, but kind of took that same inspiration. And I then built several mini games of that sort of same scale. So I will bring you down into this area, and welcome to Operation Data Mine. And Operation Data Mine got half our server hooked.
Yeah. So, guys, this is something that's been inspired by us Igniters.
So we have this nice spiral staircase that comes down here, and we'll do this as a part of the redstone. We will actually be down looking behind the redstone in this area. We won't show you the entrance. We might get to play a little bit of it later. But essentially, Operation Data Mine is an changeable maze where you have to go and look for data disks. There are barrels scattered throughout the dungeon where you have to go and try and find these data disks for information upon that evil AI that chased me out of the world itself. But the great thing about this place is that every time you go into it, it changes. The corridors that connect each room changes every single time. It's randomized. So that your actual way through the place actually isn't always the same every time you go in. And the data disk can then be used for currency later on when we get to the end station. I'll show you the data store. But yeah, a lot of people got addicted because it's like trying to work out where the barrels are. A lot of them are hidden and stuff that are put behind various different puzzles and stuff. And once you know it once, you know where to go to the next time. But it works out well in that sort of sense, in that thing there. But yeah, this was one of the very first mini games here. So we're looking at the entrance here. The game itself is a lot bigger behind here. I ended up having to dig out an awful lot of space underneath spawn for it, using TNT blasters and everything else. And we had a very interesting evening where we were trying to get rid of all the mobs down there and light the place up. It became, and then there was like, I think that's where Jan got most of his death counters from.
That's where I got my 1000th death. Yeah, that was monumental.
Yeah, underneath here where we were digging that all out. But yeah, there's access to the Nether and everything else from down here as well. So that's like the first of the big mini games that I had built. It was down here. I'm going to say we'll have a look at that a bit later on with redstone and everything else like that. Because what you're seeing there is only a sliver of what that game is built like. It is a large dungeon behind that door. There is, of course, one more mini game up here as well. One which was built about 6-7 months ago and is very good fun for multiplayer. And that is Spawn's Edge. So if we come up through this route, we end up down more of the catacombs. And this is what I love about the catacombs. It goes everywhere through here. And we get to the back here. And there is also another Nether portal entrance here. And this is a multiplayer. Best played as 3 versus 3. But essentially, we have a red versus blue moment of everyone's going around doing basically like ODM. You're looking for things. However, the things you're looking for in the barrels, you can also steal off everyone else by killing them. So it's a whole big PvP area. So this is the starting area, but to really get an idea of what Spawn's Edge looks like, if we come up this tunnel here, we come to the back of the cliff. And this is Spawn's Edge down here, the town of Spawn's Edge. So it's just between Spawn and AJ's area. And there is a whole subterranean section to it. And this is where all the barrels are placed in here. And this game is like just a big PvP battleground, essentially. And it's the first team to basically get 4 stacks of the items they're looking for, which is Unorthoblocks shards, essentially, that they're looking for that drop out in there. There is a storyline here. There is some cruisers that I built, some ships. One of them accidentally dropped their engine core down here, which meant the whole place had to be evacuated. And these Unorthoblocks shards started appearing up. So teams are charged with trying to get as many as they can and compete against each other for it. But yeah, this is Spawn's Edge. This is my PvP game area here as well. But yes, it is good fun. Lasts about 15 minutes of gameplay at a time, and it's a team game. It's a good bit of fun. While we are here, how's everyone's Elytra flight? Dark Angel, I know you were saying that you're not very great on flying, but do we think we can go just directly upwards this way? Will you follow me?
Do mention if anyone needs TPing.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a snake and eating king.
Let's get up into the air. Welcome to the Tower class cruisers. These are my fleet, or part of my fleet. There are more of these around. These are my ships that I built to basically deal with the AI, that evil AI, coming out from the location that we will see in the end very shortly. These aren't just as you see them on the exterior. They have a full interior as well. There's an airlock on the side just by where I'm standing, underneath where I'm standing. So if you drop down, you should be able to get into, depending on how good your flying is, into the airlock. And you'll find they have a full interior as well, so engine rooms and everything else as well. There are a number of these on the server. These are just the ones that are sat in spawn. And it gives a great view from up here of spawn itself. But yeah, you can go around, explore inside of these. Got just basically the engine rooms and everything else. Everything has a purpose in here. There's a medi bay, there's a bridge and a teleporter room. So we can go up to the bridge itself and look out as everything's going around. But yeah, I realized I needed to defend and research against this evil AI, and that's what I built, was these. The fleet. So this is the fleet that is sitting above spawn, trying to look for the evil AI. Okay, so that, I think, concludes my overworld element for a second, other than Assault on Blocktron, which we'll get to after the end. But I think the next step is let's get to the Nether. So if we drop down from here and head back to the free, so if you follow me down, we'll go back to the number 3, back in Spawn Valley. And as we come down, it's a great view from up here of all of Spawn Valley as you come back down. Now, the free itself, we do have irregular shaped Nether portals available on this server. That's why our free is, our Nether portal, main Nether portal is the number 3. If we head into the Nether.
Uh-oh.
And we'll probably see lots of achievements suddenly cropping up as we come through here. So, yeah, our Nether dimension this season, someone built it with a little bit of inspiration from the Hermit Crafts from the previous season, but the actual central core element was based on, I forget the name of it, you know, that whole thing with the impossible.
Usher.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. So yeah, it's got that sort of, isn't it? It's that stairwell, that impossible stairwell idea, and things upside down and everything else like that. It's absolutely stunning in the center here. So that was sort of all original in the center here to give that sort of inspiration as it is, and then the tunnels sort of stretch out from the sides here. But if we come to what is the North Tunnel, now on the west tunnels, you got the entrances to the balloon, to Assault on Blocktron and Spawn's Edge are all built on that side. But if we come to the North Tunnel, you can see a couple more of my builds. First of which is Betty Buys. Betty Buys is a hotel in the Nether. Nobody sleep in there at the moment. The whole thing was started as a joke in season 1, which several people fell for and slept in the hotel. It is rooms built with obsidian around it. And this is the 3rd season in which Betty Buys exists. It has existed in every season of Unorthoblocks where there is a hotel in the Nether with beds for people to come and sleep and have an explosive night.
Does anyone feel tired?
Yeah.
Very cozy, I'm not gonna lie.
Go for a snooze.
Next one is I have a shop over here. This is custom withers. You can see them all up in there. I built a bunch of custom wither models of variety of forms, some of which are very scary type of things that you don't want to experience as a wither, like a creeper wither, or a ghast wither, or an enderman wither, or a jam wither.
Oh, a jibber.
Or a goat wither. Yeah, there's a whole episode about them. Yeah, they can be very, very scary. But for them to sort of stick around in, we have over here, anyone here, how many people in here are from the UK?
Me.
Or knows the UK? Right, there is a chain of pubs in the UK called Weatherspoons. And here we have the Witherspoons. And this is the Witherspoons. So it's a pub in the Nether filled with withers that you see all stuck around here, including a dragon wither behind the bar. We are not doing the toilet run right now. That's occurring later in the week. The toilet run from the Witherspoons is an experience in itself.
Yeah, it was fantastic content.
Yeah.
If you've got a few hours to spare.
Yep.
You got a few hours to spare, then the Witherspoons is your run. It's not quite that bad, but it is. It gives you that idea. Right, okay, so if we move further down the tunnel from the Witherspoons, And eventually we get to the end portal. So more achievements coming up very, very soon. I see a Flezzy Wither coming along. Oh, no, Silly
Flezzy?
Wither.
You know,
Silly
wither is not as
Right
terrifying
now.
as a gibber or a goat wither.
It's a Billy Wither.
Wither.
So we come into the end region, and we will see we're in a portal area that is going to take you to somewhere else.
Wait.
Now, one of the things you'll notice, this is the end room. Maybe set your spawns just in case in here. So there is a little room off to the side where you can do that.
It won't blow up.
Yeah, it won't blow up. We're not in the end yet. We're still in we're back in the overworld.
helmets.
Yeah.
Y'all
So
walked
this-
all by the space helmets, but I have.
Oh
to
yeah,
say
if you've got
two
space
of them.
helmets, you definitely need to have space helmets
Sure.
on.
For
Because
space.
we are leaving the world.
Space.
And you'll
That's
see up
not
here,
around.
we have a bunch of things that are listed up here that leads to various different locations.
I have one. This one.
And in fact, actually, there's a reason behind the naming of some of these, and I can't remember all the namings on all of them. But yeah, you got things like some places that previous members from the server have come from otherwise. Also, we can see HC9, Hermitcraft Season 9, which is when we started, was when Hermitcraft Season 9 was on. We got access to the other UBs and some of the other servers that some of the members also had connections to as well previously. All listed up on that board there. But if we jump in here, one thing we'll notice before we jump in here, notice what's missing from this end portal.
Oh.
There's no end portal blocks. I destroyed them. There is a way to
yeah.
destroy end portal blocks without actually destroying the end portal. So I managed to remove them and replace them with the amethyst instead. So that's missing, and we use that for the sand farm as well. So we have a sand duper on the server. This is the main entrance into the end, but the sand duper exists at a different end portal. And I won't show that on this tour. Maybe we'll do it on the redstone bit. But that one exists at another end portal. So that's where the sand duper comes from. But if we jump through, you'll find that you don't end up in your normal spawn location for an end. Right. To exit this area, we come into the entrance area. You need to leave via the water elevators in the corners. Because the bits on the actual cardinal points, the north, south, east, west, are actually for the sand duper. So they do seal off. I think I've got them sealed off at the moment. But they can be opened up to allow the sand duper to come through. And yes, no frostwalker boots, please, because it will break things out here in the nether. In the end. So welcome to Endspire Station.
Woo.
Make sure everyone comes out there a second. Yeah. So I early on decided to destroy the entire end island. I removed it. I got a world eater out here. I destroyed it and replaced it with an asteroid and a space station. And that is where we are. We are on the space station itself. There are a lot of things here. We've also got like the Hollow Draken over here to help people out. There are airlocks over in the corners here. And you'll notice there are water elevators as well. Let's go upwards, which is this one here. Now, one thing, have a quick look at the water elevators. And see if there's anything that looks like it's gone wrong. Or rather, it breaks Minecraft physics. These things are not supported underneath. Every water block has no underneath water suspension.
It doesn't.
A little bit of update suppression going on there. But we come up one level. And you'll bring yourself to the poker room, the stat poker room. Now, this is not the first stat poker room on the server. The first one is actually at an inn, the Unorthoblocks Inn, built by Jampot. And then he decided he wanted to have a few more of them. So Rogue built one somewhere underwater, and I built one on the Endspire Station. So this is one of the stat poker rooms on the server. This is the second one that was built, and it was built over here on the station. Just to give us that nice little view as we're going around here. But in addition to this, this area leads off in a big ring all the way around the center of the end pillars and everything else like that. And your end gateways, you may notice on the floor, be careful not to fall in, I should warn people, because you'll notice there's no bedrock above our end gateways. I removed it all and put it into the ring. So all of them are now accessible from the ring here, rather than actually having to go and fly into bedrock and everything as well. Now, if we go up one more level at the front, I'm going the wrong way here, but it's over here. There's another elevator at the very front here. And it brings you up to the back of the Unorthoblocks room. So this is a room that we used on our second Unorthocast. I think it's been used once or twice since, but it's used for essentially doing Unorthocasts. We started doing that recently in the last couple of months, kind of inspired by friends on other servers. Hey, Channel 64. We did.
Fair. We had been
we did-
talking about doing a podcast for about
for a
2
long
years,
time.
but we're
Yeah,
lazy.
we have. Yep. And in fairness, there was an Unorthocast last season as well. Loon had been doing one on his own and doing the Unorthocast as well last season. So let's mention that as well. We should say that. But there's certainly the inspiration there a little bit for us to actually go, yeah, we should start doing it as well a bit more often. So here's the Unorthocast room. We did some Unorthocast here. It's absolutely awesome. Little room out here in the thing here. But it's not the only Unorthocast room on the server. There are a couple of other places where people built Unorthocast rooms. So we have a choice of a few studios that we can use and various different backdrops as well. And then we have another elevator that goes up. We don't need to necessarily go up there unless you're exploring. That just leads to the command room for the tower. But let's go back down rather than going out and exploring, because there's a few little other things to see here. And down the second elevator. And then we're going to go down one more elevator as well, which is just over here, which brings us down to the main ring. I have games on the station. So here's the collection point over here for the sand farm, the sand duper. So when the sand duper comes out, let's just make sure everyone gets down here.
We're working on it.
My mum said I can visit your space station as long as your mum says it's okay. Fair.
Can we watch Shrek tonight and pizza?
Yes.
Oh, Nitro?
We gotta go down one more.
So this season we decided we were going to have a sand duper here. Mainly I asked, and everyone else went, yeah, all right then. So, sand dupers are always a little bit controversial, and some people like them, some people don't. We decided as a server that we were happy with having a sand duper, so we built a sand duper because sand is otherwise really annoying to farm a lot of the time. So we built a sand duper, which obviously needs the end to actually do it. So I built the sand duper into a part of the build. In fact, this is part of the reason why the whole Inspire station exists, because I was just building around the sand duper. If you see the size of the build here, and to think that I just came to that because of the sand duper, you can see the kind of scale that I work to sometimes. But yes, this is the sand duper here. This leads into, these corridors here lead into the central asteroid, but let's go around the outside first. And if we come down this way, we are on the main ring. So there are two rings on the space station itself. There's an upper ring and a lower ring. And we have these little biomes here. Now, I would just point out as we walk in here, have a look upwards and have a look at what's happening in the ceiling as well as the floor. And you can see that these biome sections on the diagonal corners are built upside down, including the water. The water is suspended upside down. Again, that's update suppression going on there that prevents the water from coming downwards. So we have this update upside down things. Now, there are 4 different biomes on each corner. One is based on the Nevin, has lava. This one is more of a forestry one. There is a water one around the corner, like ocean, and then there's like a desert jungly one as well. Now, we were talking about ODM earlier, where you get your data disks. This is where you get to spend them. This is the data store.
Gift shop's the best part.
And this is an example of a number of, not all of them, but a number of my custom models that I have built this season are all available over here, including the fact of that actually, look at the chests. They are crates. But they are actually chests, or rather barrels. Wow. And essentially that's done by building a custom model that is built in such a way that you can attach it upside down and it covers the barrel. It's as simple as that.
Very cool.
But it does give this, like, you can build custom chests and custom barrels that way. So I realized that while building custom models, and so that's what I did. And yeah, we get these custom sort of chests and barrels that you can use, and I use these in the actual mini games themselves. We head off down this way. We come to Aspire 2. Aspire 2, as we pass the biodome that's off the side there, there's just a little bit of a pretty build. You're welcome to explore that at future points. But Aspire 2 is 2 more of my games itself, mini games that I have. Now, it begins because Aspire 1 was last season in Season 2. I say last season, now technically Season 3 is last season. But Season 2 was last season. We had an Aspire 1 tower that had a bunch of games on it. Things like Dare to Dig, etc. But this one has 2 more games in here. One is called Dig to Die, where the idea is to see who can be the first one to dig through their pile of materials with, and then get back to where the they have an ante that they're betting against each other. So you're basically the first person to die while digging can get, and then race back to get the ante from here. And then if we go up one more level, I will point out that this is wrong over here. It says elevator to scramble over here, which is actually the downward route, and the upward route is on the left. But if we take that one up, that comes to another mini game right above called Scramble, where the idea is that when you start Scramble, you have like a couple of minutes where it drops tokens, and you have to try and collect as many gold and silver tokens as possible without collecting the red tokens. The great thing with these mini games as well is they also give you ODM tokens that you can use then to play ODM, and these games are free to play. So yeah, this is the Aspire 2 tower, which overlooks the actual whole asteroid itself. Now, this is where we really test people's flight skills, because we're going to fly over the end to the west side, as it is, of the Inspire station towards the starport. And you get a bit of an idea of how big the Inspire station actually is. And actually, as we come over this way, let's just go off to the left a little bit, because we need to load in something else here, which is the shipyard. Remember those tower class cruisers? Yeah, this is where they're built.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Just sat off to the side there. Just get that loaded in so people can see it. And then we can come back down to the actual starport itself. Now, the starport is probably the largest part of the station itself. Just wait for everyone to get down here. If anyone's
Yes,
lost, hit up the
Virgin in
server
charge.
guys to teleport you over here.
Yep.
But yeah, so this is the outside bit. This was a bit inspired because I am a big fan of a game called Star Citizen. And this was inspired by some of the stations that were on Star Citizen to sort of build this sort of thing. So we have, this is the outdoor section. So there is like open air, well, open space platforms that can get you into here. But there are airlocks
Hey
that will bring
guys,
you inside.
this wasn't built
And if you
here
come
when
down
I was
into the
here
airlocks,
last
you can use any of
time.
the airlocks to come inside the actual bit itself, and you'll find that you're in a
This is
three-story
all
high,
new.
starport section. There's
Like,
a jetty at the end, which leads off to another
The
tower
big
class cruiser,
island
and
thing
there
was
are big
done,
hangars down
but
here
where we
as
were
well. Now,
earlier,
unfortunately, only
I didn't
managed to
see
get time
that.
to
I
put one
haven't
ship
seen this.
in the hangars itself.
So
But we
you
do
really
have
did a
Customer Next
lot.
side down here, where we have, well, what looks like a sea lion and a badger and a dragon egg, all sort of confiscated, and a niter shard as well has been confiscated from Customer Next size as well. And then the other side there, we have, what's that one? That's the Starship Rental. And then we go down. And again, we're back on the main ring when we're in the middle floor. There is a downstairs section here, so we can actually go down and go into the hangars itself. But there's also currency exchange. There's also lost and found. And these bits all lead off to big hangars off to the side, one of which has a ship. The rest are just empty with cargo inside of it as well. But you can get an idea of the scale of this place when you go into the hangars. Okay, so that's that part of the ring. Let's get around. I'm just conscious of time. We're well into the redstone section of this thing, so we may not have as big a redstone chance to do afterwards. But let's continue the build bit, because there's a couple more bits still to do. If we continue around the ring and come down. Oh,
I think we lost them.
We have lost them, I think.
Does anyone need TPing?
Okay. Well, they can
That's
come
right.
back up the stair on the other side.
Okay.
We're coming.
Well, I didn't know one build an ocean going vessel in here. Joke. Yeah,
But
that would have been fun.
All of this wasn't here when we did the crossover. At least this building
wasn't.
and the other one with where the ships are built.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. They were all new since the
Yellow
IgnitorBlock
submarine,
crossover.
Sunny, take notice.
Amelia is completely right.
Yeah, it makes it hard to lose with, yeah.
Because I'm used to just seeing Draken with a helmet.
So everyone is now me.
Or
It's
just all
all
your
Draken.
clones.
Always has been.
Right, as we get to the other side of this biome, we end up with the habitat section. You see, because I was worried that something like geese or something will bring about the end of the server, I
Valid
built
concern.
a sort of backup. And it's this area. It's basically a place for people to come and retreat to if the worst comes to the worst and the overworld gets destroyed by some form of many of the apocalypses that our members might visit upon us.
Don't touch any beds.
There's a goose in
Please
here.
don't touch any beds. Yeah. There are rooms here that belong to different members on the server. So we got like Lily has built one here. And it was basically for members to come here and have their backup. There's some generic ones as well for those who didn't. Jam decided to save a bunch of bricks.
The 2 million bricks is a whole other story. Yeah.
Iondas blew herself up building her one, which is downstairs. Yeah.
It was gonna have all these secrets in it that you guys could find and like grab, like a data cube and stuff. And I blew it up on accident. So you know.
Yeah. That's downstairs. I think, Sonny, your one is the only one that remains open and hasn't been built. But every other one has been. But
She said it's empty like her head. It was on accident, I swear. You could hear Lily and Sunny. I was in the call with them and I was distraught.
Oh no. But yeah, you got the axolotls in here. Shin decided to save axolotls.
This is the blown up.
And then if we go down towards here, yeah, I think Iondas is down towards Iondas' one. Where the reason it's so open in Iondas' is because she clicked on the bed and
No, it's because you like an open concept, right?
It's because you like an open concept, and not because you clicked on a bed and blew up part
Not
of the
at
station. Awesome. Awesome.
I read that sign in her voice.
Right.
Good.
If we come up to the mid-level, again, there is a bit that comes off here. In fact, actually, let's go back towards this corridor, because this bit will reconnect back around to where we had the entrance. But if I come over here...
I wish you had stairs on both sides.
No, it's because I had the stairwell going upstairs as well, because remember, there's 3 stories for the habitat.
I know.
So there is a section above us as well. It's got a couple of more habitats.
Lance,
if you see ATMs, while you're running around the station, they're ender chests. Remember what I was saying about how you can cover over chests and stuff like that with custom models? That's what the ATMs are. They're ender chests buried behind there. But straight ahead from where I am now, we don't need to necessarily go down there. That's the ender. So that became my main XP farm for the rest of the season after I built it. So yeah, that's far enough away from the rest of the station and from anywhere else that Enderman may spawn that it will act as an ender farm. So yeah, that's down there. That's one of our XP farms. But it's built into the station as part of the build, because I have this belief that farms shouldn't just be farms, but actually I want to make them into a bit of a build, so everything gets integrated at some point. There is...
Uh-oh. Oh no.
Oh, Diamond. Is that the first guest, Steph?
I think so.
I think I was the first 10.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh no. Because Bluzzy bonked me.
Oh, yes, this is true. Yes, yeah.
There's still some zeros on the tab.
He did want a high five. Yep. Okay, so let's while we're waiting for Diamond's been teleported back. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so over here is one of my other mini games. Again, it's an entranceway. We can't really show you it downstairs yet unless you're playing it. But this is Don't Look. So very similar to ODM, but also a little bit different. Don't Look is essentially what went wrong was I was mining the asteroid out, and at some point Enderman took over. But meanwhile, when the miners fled the mine, they left behind a bunch of items. So when you come in here and play, you start the game, it shows you an item that you are to look for, and then you drop down into the mine, and you have to go and look for that item in the crates around there. The only problem is that you can't go in there wearing gear, and the place is flooded with Enderman. Yeah, the whole place is full of Enderman at the time because they spawn out there naturally. So you don't want to look at the Enderman. Why it's called Don't Look. Don't look at the Enderman, otherwise they're going to kill you. But you have to still go and look for all the crates to try and find the item. And you got about basically 2.5 minutes to try and find the item you are looking for. Get it back here. And if you do, then you get rewarded with an ODM token, which you can then use to play a game of ODM and get more data discs. So that's essentially what this place is over here. There is also around here, as well as the over here, we've also have a Wither killing chamber, or sorry, Wither interrogation chamber. That also exists. So that's up there. It's just underneath the actual portal back out from the end here. But that's the End Spire station. there is one more thing for me to show you on the build tour, and that is this way.
Oh.
There's probably other things I built around the place, like things. Oh, in fact, I know there is. There's things like spire solicitors and everything else, which is down the sewers. Which I would, if I had time, I would show you all of this. But it is a lot of time to get through everything here, which kind of shows how much I actually built. Which is oops. I'm actually not sure how I found all the time to do all this, but
He made more time.
yes, I think I learned from Amelia how to deal with time, space, and stretch time. Right, everyone's out. Cool stuff.
We're trying to get Donkey into the portal. There we go.
He was following Liv because she has a golden spare.
Oh.
Oh, I'm back at the base.
Okay.
Hey, I beat Minecraft.
Nice.
Hey,
GG's.
We are going to head.
Gamers.
We're going to head back to spawn. So once you're out of the portal, I've got some of us here, yeah. Hopefully everyone else will follow along or knows where they are going. But we're just going basically back to the central location. And we are going to head into the portal, or one of the portals that leads us back to spawn. Welcome back. Right, okay. So let's drop out of the portal. It does tend to put you in the upper parts of the portal. Thankfully, there is water below you, so you can just drop down, or you can just glide down on your elytra. Oh, yes. If anyone is watching the credits, Jam is quite right. You can just press escape to get out of the credits. Because obviously, this is the first time you're coming out from the end as well. We should point that out. Forgot about that completely. And then just head back towards the central spawn point. Okay, let's go back through Spawn Valley in a second. And again, you've got a lot of builds up here. Like, you've got Bearded Teacher's Mansion up on the left here. You've got Amelia's Post Office. You've got Jam's Goose Tower up ahead. We've also got, like, the mall that's underground over to the left here. You'll get to see a lot of this on the full world tour. But I want to bring you over to this point over here. Now, when we began this season, we decided, as a group, that we wanted waystones. Yeah, that was a bit of a mistake, because we didn't realize straight off at the beginning that everyone was going to need the Waystone mod to do it. So we set up Waystones. It did work for a while, and the idea was like, look, you know, far away farming places, we don't want to have to be traveling thousands of block every single time to get to them. So we were just going to set up Waystones to be able to get to the far away places. For everything that's close by or nearby, like most of the area where you got people building, there are no Waystones going to it. There was never a Waystone going out to them. It was only for things that are like 8,000 blocks away or further that was going to just take forever and would be a bit silly to get to, and we just built a Waystone system to it. The problem was that the Waystone mod, if you didn't have the Waystone mod installed or the correct things with it, the chunk would disappear. So people were ending up with holes in the server and everything else. And it was a bit of a pain in the neck. So we decided at the end, obviously for the end of the season, what we would do is replace the Waystones with command blocks that will do the teleport function instead. So that's where we stood here. Originally, there was a Waystone over here. Anyone's watched Jam's videos, you will know how much he loves Waystones. And he went around collecting them. He was collecting them by the dozen.
He made it his whole personality for a couple of days.
Yeah.
I heard there was a wedding between a Waystone and a rat.
Yeah.
There was.
That didn't really
There
happen.
absolutely
That's
was,
crazy
yes.
talk. There will never be any more weddings ever in an Orthoblocks history. It is banned.
But everything that the
Season
Waystones...
4.
Yes, this is true. But wherever the Waystone's connected to, I'm now connected up by command blocks in here. There are two things that I'm connected with in here. One is the Temporal Gaming District. I'm not going to take you here on this tour at the moment. Temporal Gaming District is, though, I'll quickly explain it, is because we had the the Igniter crossover. And we realized that because we were mid-season, we didn't have as many games built yet as the Igniters had. We wanted to give them something that would also function as well. And it was actually a really nice, because what we did was we recreated, with a little bit of cheatiness, a bunch of the games to do with our first two seasons. So that island exists way off 14,000 blocks and is only featuring, the only things that exist out there are things that are actually from previous seasons that was built into a nice little build, an island out there with all the previous games. So it's like season 1 and 2 games are available in the Temporal Gaming District. It's way off to the side. And it's the only place where we do that sort of stuff. But it's also kind of nice for nostalgia. Like the original Orphan Tower is out there. The initial Aspire 1 Tower is out there. We've got Deceased by Dawn. Not what did I call it earlier by accident?
Dead
Was
by
it?
Daylight. Yeah, you called it
No.
something. You said 7 Days to Die reference. I don't know,
Yeah, but
man.
it's 7. Yeah, it was something along those ways. 7 Ways to Die, I think it might have been. Yeah, but yeah, I made some sort of faux pas on it. But yeah, there's the Cease by Dawn game is out there as well. There's a few great games out there, but it's from our first 2 seasons, so we can actually revisit and bring guests there and take it, and you'll probably get to visit that during the week. So that's out there as well. But I was heavily involved in helping construct that because a lot of the previous games as well, I was involved in building as well. But the big game that I have built this season, so you've seen some of my mini games, but the big one is this one, Assault on Blocktron. So if you all come up here and press the Assault on Blocktron button, and it will teleport you essentially 14,000 blocks again onto one of my tower class ships. And then have a look out the window. And this is just a fraction of the game you are looking at. And this was built at the end of the season. I went a bit OTT, I'm afraid, and kind of stressed myself out in the process, as people in the chat here will probably be able to testify.
It's bigger than the center of Spawn Valley.
It is. This game is huge. You get to see it before you even go into the game because this is part of it. So let's go. The bridge is even better to look from. So if we come out of the ship itself, we come down here and around the corner. We go out of the airlock, and there's a bridge that leads into the starting area. This is basically the same as ODM, but even more. And it includes an awful lot of stuff. So it's everything from, like, it's got lore here associated with Spire City, which is where we stood here. It's like some sort of nighttime, futuristic, cyberpunkish city. A little bit inspired by some of the stuff again from Star Citizen. We won't talk about it. The fact that the Blocket has a corporate building over in the corner there, for anyone who knows my lore at the end of the season. How many people may have noticed the fact that Blocket was already here.
Yeah.
But yes, this, like, you're looking down on the rooftops. This rooftop below us is part of the game. People can be watching other people playing the game, running around behind them, running around below them, down here. But that area there between the buildings goes all the way down. There is loads more space down there that goes to a very large area. And the idea is very similar to ODM in the fact that you go around, you look for things in the Spire City side, but the things you find aren't your currency. You have to take those and then travel through time to previous seasons and the present season where the evil AI is trying to intersect across the temporal timeline. Yep, there is time travel. And so in here, there are builds attached to this that were big builds for previous seasons. We have the Season 1 Never Hub in there, which was big. We have things like the engine room from the Spire Sky Carrier. We have the inside of the Draken Spire. These are all built as part of this game. It is a big, big game once you get into it. And again, we'll get some people to give it a test out in a bit and everything else as well. And there is all custom music to these games as well, which I released onto my YouTube channel earlier. But I built a whole load of custom music as well to go with it as well, which you'll get to experience when you're going through it. But I think, for a moment, I need a break. You know?
I need food.
Yeah. I should be doing the Redstone part of the tour about half an hour ago. I'm not going to do every single game on the Redstone tour part, but I think we'll probably do it on this game. Actually, would be a good one. So if you want to stick around here, you can. If you're joining us for the Redstone part, we'll do it for half an hour, and then we'll do some gameplay as well and some mini games if people are up for it. But shall we take a quick 5-10 minute breaks?
Okay, can I quickly ask one question, because I'm not going with the Redstone tour. So
sure.
I'm basically gonna close off my stream. But before I'm gonna do that, there is one more question, and that is, this season is over. Is this world gonna be up for download? And if yes, where can they find it? I did put a link in my stream, so people can go to your Discord. Is there where they can find a download to also play this after a few weeks? Or is it not available for viewers?
Sunny, I understand.
In
Yeah,
a
go
few
for it. Yeah, yeah.
weeks, it'll be available
Yeah,
on Discord.
Yeah, it'll be available on Discord in a few weeks.
I was like, guys, we voted on this.
We did.
Yeah, we did vote on
Yeah.
it. It is Discord only. Yes.
Yeah, so through Discord,
you have to be a part of the Unortho Zone to find the link. We will make it available to Unortho fans.
Yeah.
Yes.
In
Okay.
a few weeks, yeah, because we gotta, you know, you have to cull this thing. We gotta
We
trim
still
out
gotta-
some custom models. We gotta do
Yep.
things.
We gotta do some work, yeah.
Eventually, they will find it on
Yeah.
your Discord. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as just downloading it straight off the end of the season.
No,
There's a
no,
lot
no,
of
no,
work
no.
that has to be done just to clean it up and everything else to make sure it's
Yeah,
good for
it's
download.
like 20 gigs, guys. You don't
Yeah.
want it right now.
Yeah, you don't want it.
No, we
It is
don't.
floating.
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay, I am going to take a 5-10 minute break, but feel free to chill, hang out, and everything else. Obviously, all the rest of the Unorthoblocks here, so I'm sure you guys will get into all sorts of chaos. And in fact, actually, as I'm standing here in survival, I will flick into spectator mode just
That's
to
a
be
good call.
safe.
Don't die just sitting here.
Because you never know what people are like. And I mean, by that,
Okay,
I mean
guys, I'm
the other
quickly gonna
members of
take
the
this
server.
off.
I
I
mean,
don't
he'd
know.
already
I
be dead
stay
if
here.
Leslie was here, so he's not wrong.
Yes, it's true. This is very true. Right, I will be back in a moment. Catch you in a second.
Okay, guys. Well, that was
Oh
our
my
tour.
God, y'all.
I
Hydrate,
hope you
stretch,
are
Yeah,
all.
all the
Stretch,
things.
definitely.
I'm gonna
Posture
leave the
check.
call for a
Diamond
sec.
died.
There's no time to hide.
Okay, because this is the only way I can get everything silent. So basically, everything we have seen now is mostly what Dragon Gameworks has actually made. Some things really inspired by the Igniters, of course. Our Season 3, some builds were also inspired by the Unorthoblocks. But unfortunately for me, the timing of the world tour is when I'm not available. So I gave you the best tour I could give you guys. And with that, I would also like you to look at all the links I placed in the description. It's not just from their Discord, but it's also from all of their members list. So you can basically, if you want to see how did they make these builds, why did they do it, then just click on their links and just check them out. Because they actually gave me like a one of a lifetime's experience. I made so much good friends. They gave me so much more inspiration. They are definitely worth checking out. And with that being said, I wish you all a very good day, a very fine evening. And I will see you guys next time!